He's outside. I think he wants to come in.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh no.
We gotta turn something back here.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Hey, Mr. Austin, how are you?
Hello.
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good, sir.
Good.
Mike, if you can hear us, go like this. Okay, they can hear us. Okay, well, we can't hear you yet.
Yes.
Let's see if there's the,
We gotta plug this guy in. Just plug this guy into the USB port.
sorry, guys.
Oh, wait, is there a, how'd you turn that TV on?
Just right here on the power.
There should be a volume control on it, I think.
Okay.
Don't plug that in yet, because they can hear us.
Yeah, you sure
Turn the
can.
volume up.
It's up. Yeah, that's not working, Tom.
Hang on. Wait, it's not gonna be that. Well, I'll try it.
Which one?
New meeting.
There we go.
Hello?
Nope.
Hello.
Come on.
Hello. It just booted me from this Board of Stormwater Management meeting. I didn't to adjourn. I don't
I'm
know.
sorry, Kyle. I booted you.
Oh, that's fine. I sent an email, so no worries. We were finished. So
It said it wouldn't let me start the new meeting until I could either boot you or I had to wait till you were done. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, I'm gonna chance it.
nah, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
We were wrapping up. So
Good. I am just downloading our stuff so I can pull it up and share my screen with everyone.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
I
We
can.
do not have you guys.
So I'm gonna try to get him right now.
Now I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna put it on my laptop now.
All right, Jen is just joined, it looks like. Jen, can you hear us? Your microphone's on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I just got you bumped up to panelist, Jen.
Okay, I was seeing everyone, but I
Yeah, there it is.
couldn't talk.
And then we got Pritchard just got in too.
Hardware and sound.
Yeah.
I like purple. Like turning violet. Violet.
I know my coloring's off too.
Okay.
What's it say?
Just a quick question before we get started to the commission members. Are you guys on Google Drive and able to pull up the prior meeting minutes that we should be reviewing tonight?
No, Rachel,
Yes.
Rachel, this is Tim.
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, great. Hi, I did it.
You did. I'm so proud of you.
Get a gold star.
Hey, Rachel, this is Cheryl. Those meetings came as an attachment.
I don't have minutes in front of me.
Okay,
I've got them pulled up on, I've got a tablet. I've got them on my tablet.
okay. I was only asking because I can pull them up on a shared screen if needed.
Are you muted?
So if you would like me to get those pulled up, I feel like I'm having weird feedback.
That was us.
I've got them on another computer. I'm okay. I got them.
Okay, good.
Are we doing both the regular and the special minutes?
Yes, if everyone's fine with that. And let me see if we've got everyone here that we can get the meeting officially started. Is Jeff Gramman? Oh, there he is.
I am here.
Hey, Jeff.
Hello.
Okay. Give me one more minute. It's been a minute since we've done totally virtual, so. Okay, I think we're ready to get started, Tim.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Rachel, good, please have a roll call determination quorum, please.
Sure. Give me 1 second. I want to pull up a list of you guys so I make sure I don't miss anyone. Okay, Tim Pritchard,
Here.
Kyle Eichhorn,
Here.
Carol Hanna,
Here,
Cheryl Ramey Hunt,
Here.
Brad Ballantyne,
Here,
Connie Schultz Heinz,
Here.
Jenny Sisson. We didn't hear you. You're muted.
She was there.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, everybody has some patience here tonight since we are 100% Zooming in. It's my first Zoom meeting. So if I could, hopefully you have the minutes from the previous meeting in front of you. We could review those and approve the minutes as you submitted. The regular meeting the minutes first, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 7th.
Thank you, Carol. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Rachel, can you take a roll, please?
Sure. Let's start with Tim Pritchard,
Yes.
Kyle Eichhorn,
Yes.
Carol Hanna,
Aye.
Cheryl Ramey Hunt,
Aye.
Brad Ballantyne,
aye.
Connie Schultz Heinz,
Aye.
and Jen Sisson.
Aye.
Very good.
Great. Thank you. We have a set of special minutes as well. Does everybody have access to those tonight?
Yes.
Yes, it came on the link.
Okay, good. If you've had a moment to review those, please, we can entertain a motion to accept those as well.
I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the October 21st meeting.
Thank you, Carol. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rachel.
Tim Pritchard,
Yes.
Kyle Eichhorn,
Yes.
Carol Hanna,
Aye.
Cheryl Ramey Hunt.
I was unable to attend.
Thank you. Brad Ballantyne,
Aye.
Connie Schultz Heinz,
Aye.
and Jenny Sisson.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Is Kayla there? Or you can doing everything, Rachel?
Kayla's here with me, but I will be pulling up the presentation.
Okay. If you want to just combine one after the other, the thoroughfare plan update and also the UDO.
Okay. Thoroughfare plan update. We did a lot of work within the last month on both the thoroughfare plan update and the UDO update. We really did a good job of touching base with both of our consultants to really push them to give us an updated timeline, especially after our moratorium discussion that we had last month. With the thoroughfare plan update, we estimate we're about 6 months behind schedule, which seems completely appropriate given basically the first 6 months of this year. This was really a back burner project for us. So we are going to make some modifications to the original timeline and have the project ready to begin the adoption process in April of 2020. We also held steering committee meeting number 4 on October 28th. We did some work on streets and what we want our different types of streets to look like. They had a cool program for us to use where we were able to, put a wider sidewalk in or show what a smaller sidewalk would look like, show if we had street trees or lamps, or if we had a median, so that the steering committee could really see what we were talking about rather than, and they could convey to us what types of things they would like to see on different streets within Pendleton. What else did we do? We went over the survey results from the vision survey that we did. And I will be providing that information to you guys through email. They provided a really nice meeting packet for us that I just have not sent out to you guys yet. So that should be coming to you shortly. We are also going to be starting the review process for the right-of-way dedication and access management and control ordinances, likely at the December Plan Commission meeting. So we will be sending those documents your way for input soon as well. By the next Plan Commission meeting, we will have that updated timeline for project completion over to you guys. Oops.
Hey, Rachel,
Yes.
do you mean April of 2021 for the adoption process?
Yes, I apologize. Thank you, Carol. It's amazing to think we are almost through the year.
Almost.
And almost.
We're trying.
And I did the same thing on the next slide. I have my year wrong, but for the Unified Development Ordinance update, Kayla and I did have a really great meeting with KK and Deb. They also are preparing an updated timeline for project completion. Again, I think we've told you guys we're like 18 months behind on that one, which just still blows my mind. But when I think about the road we've had since we first signed the contract for this project, it's really not at all surprising. KK was very positive that she would have things ready to us so we could start that adoption process in April, which I was really pleased to hear. We did wrap up our review on chapters 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9, and by the staff and steering committee, and we've returned those comments that we've had to the planning workshop for editing. You guys all need to give Kyle Eichhorn a round of applause because he was a trooper getting through those documents and giving Kayla and I comments back on it. So we really appreciate Kyle taking the time to review that for us. His comments are always very good and right on point. So thanks, Kyle. We are also, during that phone call, we had our catch-up phone call. We did schedule our final focus group meeting for December 9th of 2020. That is the correct year, December 9th of 2020. We are going to be focusing on residential design guidelines. The focus group, we have not yet selected focus group members yet. So if you have any suggestions that you would like to have part of that group, please let me know. We haven't brainstormed as staff yet on who to invite to that meeting. We will be doing it soon because we want to get invites out as soon as possible so that people can plan ahead. But that one I think will be really a good one because I think we're hearing a lot of feedback on the residential design guideline pieces. That's come up quite often at our Plan Commission meetings, and I think it's something a lot of you feel strongly about, regardless of what elements you're feeling strongly about. We need to kind of hash that out and make sure that we're conveying our message to developers as they approach us in the future. Any questions for me on the UDO update or even the thoroughfare plan update? I'm happy to answer questions about either.
On
of
the
them.
UDO, yeah, on the UDO, is there another steering committee meeting or are we finished with those?
Nope, we have one more steering committee meeting left, so we're kind of waiting to work through that focus group meeting. And there's a couple more chapters that they need to send over to us. So I think there's just a little bit more work to be done before we schedule that final meeting.
Okay, any more questions from the board for Rachel or Kayla? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Old business is petition for MI Homes amendment to the zoning map for property at State Road 67 on the west side and Kennelwood Drive, from agriculture to actually residential and two-family.
Yep. So I'll start off and then I will be passing this off to Jonathan Isaacs and Tim Westerfield to kind of go into a little bit more detail. Oh, I do see that Edward has raised his hand. So we have a member of the public who would like to say something. So Edward, you are unmuted right now. So if you'd like to ask your question.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, we had a little technical difficulties getting on earlier, or we would have raised this point earlier, but we have a point of order to raise with the proceedings here this evening. And
Okay.
our point of order that we bring before the commission is that this commission is out of compliance with the Indiana Code for a properly constituted planning commission.
Can you
The
identify
Indiana Code.
excuse me, do you live in the town or are you representing somebody or your attorney or what?
I am an attorney. My name is Edward Willanti. I'm an attorney for Pendleton Development LLC, and I'm with Decker Lawyer and Maynard in Anderson, Indiana.
Edward, what's your interest in the petition before us?
Well, our interest as a citizen or as a someone who's subject here with the town is that we have an interest in anything that is not being done properly by a properly
You're claiming
constituted-
generalized injury. Is that correct?
You could say a generalized injury.
Okay,
for
well,
this one.
that should be noted for the record, and I would recommend that the board can carry on. I believe this is already on the record that you've made this claim before, Edward.
I think it was in the
Well-
last meeting.
I think it was at the last meeting where we had this group in front of us. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, then Edward, unless there's something else, I'd recommend that the BZA continue. Or the
Well,
plan commission.
unfortunately, I can't let them proceed yet as my time.
Well,
has
they're going to proceed,
Well,
Edward.
under Robert's
You
Rules of
don't have any-
Order.
Mr.
Actually, sir, Mr. Graham, Robert's Rules of Order, when you raise a point of order, means the speaker obtains the floor. The speaker cannot be
We have not
interrupted
adopted the Robert
while
Rules.
they're
of
on the
Order.
floor.
Mr. President, I recommend that we proceed immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. We will proceed immediately, and Edward, I
Please
recommend.
place an objection so noted that we object to the entirety of the propriety of the proceedings here.
That's fine. That would be duly noted in the minutes. Thank you. We will proceed now with the presentation from MI Homes.
Okay. So like Mr. Pritchard said, this was a presentation or a petition that came from our two plan commission, was filed originally 2 plan commission meetings ago. So this is, we've been working with MI over the last month or so on trying to come together on some points that were brought up at the first plan commission meeting. Jonathan, do you want to go ahead and get started on this, or? See if I can ask you to unmute yourself.
Perfect. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I need that more. All the way down.
You just want to make sure there's no questions we can hear.
Oh, yeah. No, you're good. Okay.
Okay, yeah, make it so that we can hear. We just got to make sure that we can hear you guys when you ask us questions. We're trying to play with the sound levels here so there's no feedback. Rachel, before I start, I sent a revised thing about an hour ago.
I got it. It's uploaded. This is the one I have that I'm sharing.
Perfect. So over the last several months, we have been before you trying to come up with kind of a final site plan. Staff was concerned about the driveway location that we showed mid-block between Candlewood Drive and 650 to the north. And earlier this afternoon, we had another meeting with staff and talked through the concerns and actually have a revised site plan to share with you this evening that eliminates the mid-block driveway cut to State Road 9, provides for the opportunity for us to add a roadway that would line up with Candlewood on the south property line that eventually would be able to be connected to Falls Park to the west. If we can go forward. So we all kind of know where the site is. We're north of Huntsville Road on the west side of State Road 9, adjacent to the park. We'll go forward one more. There's a zoom in area that highlights the entire property, a little over 50 acres. And the site does not quite line up with Candlewood. We probably need to work with the town to help secure some additional right-of-way to our south that we believe there's a reasonable request to be made by the adjacent property owner in exchange for a benefit that they get to a public roadway access that's not State Road 9, that they don't really have to pay for. So if we go forward, one more, actually we can skip this one, we'll go on. Well, let me start there. If you look at kind of the topography of this site, there's two major drainage draws that run towards the west. And you can kind of see the green on the map. The dark green right through the middle is a very big drainage draw. And we would locate the pond at that north end of that green area in the middle. And then you have two other like kind of ridges throughout the development. So when we start to lay over our site plan, we really are trying to take advantage of the topography that has been given to us. So I think I mentioned this before, it's kind of unique to have a site that has so much topography that we have here in central Indiana, and avoiding moving a whole lot of dirt. We've put this project together to enhance and take advantage of how the lay of the land works. So if we go forward, this next drawing will kind of show the idea that we have come up with, where we do have a few cul-de-sacs in this development, but it's because the topography does not allow us to interconnect the road network like on the west side of the site because of the modification of the topography. So this is the original plan that we came with a few months ago. We do have paired villas proposed, as well as single family detached housing. And last month when we asked for a continuance, part of the discussion was that it would make more sense for the paired villas to be adjacent to State Road 9 and the single family to be more adjacent to the park. So we have reevaluated that. And if we go forward one slide here, this was the compromise that we came up with that we presented to staff earlier today, where you can see the State Road 9 connection point disappeared. The duplexes or the attached villa product is along the east side of the site, the bottom of the drawing. And then the top of the drawing to the west would all be single family. And in our discussion that we had today with both Rachel and Scott Reske, the goal really is to provide the opportunity to gain access to the park in the future. And this plan obviously was not doing that vehicular wise. We were planning on a pedestrian walkway connection to the park. But through the discussion that we had this afternoon, and my engineer actually delivered at about 10 minutes to 6 this next drawing for me. And I have colored it just in the sense to show what is duplex, which would be the teal color, blue color at the bottom, and the yellow color would be the single family. So you see there now we've put together the plan that shows the duplexes that would line along State Road 9, and then the single family that would overlook the park. So we really take advantage of those 3 cul-de-sacs that overlook the park. Those home sites would be up on the ridge before the ground, falls away towards the floodplain and towards the park. The 2 cul-de-sacs to the far right overlook the Prairie Creek preservation area, and then the cul-de-sac to the left or the south side of the site would overlook between the baseball or the football fields and part of the parking lot that is directly to the west of our site. I did highlight in black the thick black line to the west. That would be the road that we would construct, I'm sorry, to the south. That would be the road that we would construct past our entrance. And to meet the town standard, we'd put a 30-foot buffer, just like we would do along State Road 9, adjacent to that road. And then also we'll extend a path 10 or 12 foot in width from the end of that road area down to the park. And that would be our ability to get pedestrian connectivity down to the park. We have talked about finding other locations to add connectivity to the park. Today, the Parks Department doesn't have a solid plan on where they want to put a pedestrian way on the inside of the development. To the north west of the site is not under control of the Parks Department yet. So we'll continue to work with them. And if there's a logical secondary place to make a connection point, we will do so as we move forward. I'll go forward one more. So these are pictures of the duplexes that we shared last month. These are actual pictures from a project in Cicero. And in Cicero, these homes are averaging about $250,000 for each half. They range in size between 1,400 and 1,800 square feet. They all have opportunities for second floor lofts that add roughly 400 to 500 additional square feet. That can be whether it's a bedroom with a bathroom, it can be just an open play area like a big family room, or it can be like a den or just a den with a bathroom. So there's like 3 different options that the customer has to utilize that space when we build it. The next slide will give you a picture of what the back of those homes look like. They all have an integrated covered rear patio. And then the buyer has
Can everyone hear Jonathan?
No, we've lost his audio.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes. We got to, I think right when you switched slides is kind of when you went away. So if you can start from maybe the
Okay,
what you started
so I'll
with the
start over
slide.
on this slide. So the rear of the villa product, they all have rear covered patios integrated. They all can be extended an additional 6 feet. When the buyer decides to do that, you end up with a reverse gable on the rear of the home. And also there's opportunities for a breakfast bay. So the second unit there has an extension that has living area that extends out. Again, you get a reverse gable there. The patios are separated by a 6 foot tall fence, one section, just to give a little bit of privacy between the two units. Those are maintained by the homeowners association, the exteriors. So they do lawn care, they do maintenance of the exterior of the buildings and the roof. And that's all part of the HOA maintenance fee that is calculated with the development. And then the one up to the side to the right there, that's a typical side of a home. And you'll see that there are plenty of windows in the sides of these homes as well. That is something that we typically do in most of our homes is provide some windows on all sides of the home. We'll go to the next slide. These are representations of our single family product that we would intend to build here. Very complementary to some of the architectural elements that you see in our villa product, and very representative of what you see, what the buying market is looking for from an architectural perspective. We put multiple textures on the front elevation. I'm not sure these pictures are necessarily showing that, but there'll be some gable treatments that change the siding material up in the gable ends. So you could have 3 different textures of material, whether it's masonry and then different textures of siding on every home within the development. And we'll go one more. And then there's there's the ranches that we have, and then another sample of the 2-story residence. And then we'll go one more slide. Just a couple more examples. Most of them you'll notice have front porches, lots of different gable ends on the front elevations, trying to give some good variation in our streetscape. And the next slide. This is something that I'll highlight, is one of the things that we do as a builder. We typically are using zip board siding on all of our homes, no matter what price point that we are in. And zip board siding is a wood product that is coated with like a weather material, and they don't have to do a house wrap. It's part of the house wrap system, and they just tape the seams. So one of the things that the benefit of is it's a solid backer board to put your siding onto, and then also it really is a good envelope to seal up the house, and you don't have the paper that blows off in the wind before you get the siding on top of the sheathing in the development. So there's a lot of benefits all the way around in there. We're one of few non-custom builders that use that material. Many of the custom builders are using that material in their homes. And we'll go forward. This is a graphic representation of what we would anticipate having on our perimeter along State Road 9 with a mound and landscaping with a prescribed number of tree requirement located on the perimeter, which would help block the visibility of the homes, because we are doing the one-story villa product along State Road 9. We're really only needing to screen a one-story home. Even if you do the second story bonus room, you do not change any of the roof line. So it's really like a loft that gets built underneath the building envelope and does not change the roof line. There might be a dormer here and there that gets added, or some windows on the side, but that's the only difference that you can see from either the front or the back of a home. And forward. So we've generated a list of commitments. We did take a look at some of the commitments that were done with Carrot Glen, some things that jumped out at us that we put together. Every home would have a 12-inch overhang on the eaves. All windows and doors would be surrounded by either brick or stone. And if there is no brick or stone, then we would put a 3.5-inch trim board around every window and door. Driveways, staff wanted driveways to be 18 feet in width rather than 16 feet. They would still flare and taper at the perimeter. Those are all things that were done with Carrot Glen. We would do uniform fencing. We typically do restrict 4-foot fencing within our communities. The only 6-foot fence that we typically would allow is that separator fence, privacy fence between the duplex units. Next slide. So on the overall site plan, we've eliminated the mid-block access to State Road 9 and agree to work with the town to align A Street with Candlewood at State Road 9, which allows for a future connectivity to Falls Park. Do a 10 to 12-foot walking path installed between our community and Falls Park. We anticipate that being on the southern portion of the property that is currently owned by the South Madison Community Foundation that's part of our project. We agree to limiting parking on one side of the street. The only thing that I would ask there is we recognize that. We would expect the town to have an ordinance that would be enforceable. That would not be something we'd want the HOA to be responsible for. We understand that town streets are to be 30 feet back to back. We understand there's a street tree desirability, and we show it to be one tree for every 60 feet, or essentially one per lot. And then when we've got common areas, they'd be 60-foot spacing. And then we agreed to a 30-foot common area adjacent to State Road 9. And provide a landscaping package to provide adequate screening of the community from State Road 9. And then again, we've moved the paired villas to State Road 9 and the single family to be adjacent to the Falls Park. And we would put that in a form of a commitment as well. And we can go forward one more. So that's the old concept plan, just to kind of highlight, but kind of back where we came from. And I'd entertain any questions, and we appreciate working with the town and look for a favorable recommendation this evening.
Thank you. I'll entertain questions from the board, please.
Have the number of residences changed from the original plan?
I think on the new plan, I just did a quick count. I can't say for sure that that's where it's going to end up. There's probably some engineering we need to do and a few lots that would probably come out, but there's probably a few additional lots on this plan than there were before, in part just because you've eliminated that street entry along, State Road 9.
So would you say, Jonathan, between 140 and 145 units likely? Because I think you were at 143 the first time around.
I would say probably somewhere between 143 and 150.
Okay.
One of
This
the
plan probably
has 138 in there. Is that not accurate?
Is that the original?
Six.
One of the options that was in there had 138. That was before this last revision, where we moved the entrance further back away from State Road 9. So the plan that we presented to staff this morning that did not look favorable did have 138.
And what are the lot widths and depths for each product type?
So the single family are generally 65 feet in width and probably 130 or so feet deep. The villa lots, those are essentially 90-foot lots, and then 2 units go on a 90-foot lot.
But they're individual fee simple lots, 45-foot wide then?
Yeah, so the property line is down the middle of the residence on the demising wall. And we plat them as individual lots. We usually label them as lot A and B. So, but yeah, they would be 45 feet in width.
And same depth, 130?
Yeah.
Rachel, with all of the cul-de-sacs, is there adequate room for emergency vehicles to negotiate and enter and exit?
Yes, usually I'm not a fan of cul-de-sacs. We like to have, of course, accommodations for safety, and we like to have interconnected neighborhoods, but on this particular site, that is not really an option. With the park bordering on the west side, there's a wetland on the west side as well. So there's really not an option for a lot other than cul-de-sacs. And I would assume that this is getting engineered in a way that we could have appropriate turnarounds so that emergency vehicles can get in and out appropriately. Scott Reske might be able to speak to that a little bit more, and even Jonathan Isaacs, if you want to address that further.
Yeah, actually, we have talked with our engineer about whether or not the Pendleton Fire Department will ask for a secondary means of ingress egress into the site. So we've toyed with the idea, and obviously by the time we come back for a primary plat, I'm sure we will have had some conversation with the fire department by then. But we would anticipate finding a place somewhere along State Road 9 to establish a fire access lane to come in from State Road 9. To the common citizen, it's going to look like a sidewalk, glorified sidewalk. It might be 15 feet wide, but that's something that we will make sure that if the fire department feels they need something, we'll be able to provide them something.
And a good example of this too for the Plan Commission is the apartments out by State Road or out by Interstate 69. Goodness, I can't find my road numbers today. The apartments out there, when we did the addition on the south side of the apartment complex with the fourplexes or the multifamily, there is a fire lane that does connect to the Pioneer Trace that's on the south side. It's not an entryway. It almost looks like just an entry drive, but it's gated off. So it only is used when, obviously there's an emergency so that it can be accessed more quickly. So we've done that in other areas.
So would this be gated so that there'd be no vehicular traffic pulling off of State Road 9 and utilizing it as an entrance?
I'm sure we would do something and have something in place so that the average person cannot just go through it, whether that be bollards, whether it be, some type of gating feature. I think it depends on what MI Homes is comfortable and the fire department is comfortable with installing.
What is the physical separation distance between the units?
So the product is on a 90-foot lot for the duplexes. I have to do my math real quick. The product is 72 feet wide. So if we're on a 90-foot lot, there's 9 feet of setback or 18 feet of separation between the units. On the single families, there are options for the buyer. There might be a 4-foot bump on the garage. There might be a third car garage. So the homes can be up to 50 feet wide. So there's 15 feet of setback. So that puts you at 7.5-foot side yard setbacks.
Good Lord.
So 15 feet of separation.
I guess while we're talking about lot standards, as far as the layout not meeting the bulk matrix, I mean, what's the petitioner's plan to be in conformance with the bulk matrix requirements?
So we've talked about that there's probably variances that would be required for certain standards that couldn't be met. I don't have the standards in front of me, but I thought 15-foot separation was the standard in the 2-family district.
Yeah, the lot width's 60 foot though, and you've only got 45, I guess was my question. And then the 35% max lot coverage. I guess those were the two that kind of stuck out. And then single families, 100 foot wide and 14,000 square feet.
In the 2-family district?
Well, there is no single family in the bulk matrix in the 2-family zoning. Right? What is the single family lot requirement in TF zoning?
Kyle, our bulk matrix is silent on this, it appears. But 2-family zoning district in the use matrix does list single family as a permitted use. So there might need to be some interpretation on what you as a board see this looking like, but more than likely it will end up requiring some variances, like Jonathan said.
One other quick note. So Candlewood, I assume, would be 60 foot full right away. And like he said, it doesn't quite line up. So I guess we would just need 30 foot on their side of the physical center. Like you line Candlewood up with the existing Candlewood and then go 30 feet. And that's how they would establish their right of way. Is that?
Jonathan, do you have an exhibit that shows how Candlewood lines up with the parcel, the 100-foot wide parcel that is leading to the park?
I do not have, so the Candlewood right away on the other side of the road is narrower.
60 feet.
Well, the road is only, if it's 18 feet wide of pavement, I'd be surprised. So looking at it from a center line of the current road that's there,
I'm thinking that there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 feet south of our property line, and then the balance of the right of way would be on our side. I think we have contemplated in our plan, we probably are contemplating something in the neighborhood of a 60-foot right of way on our side. I'm not sure that really gets, well, it definitely doesn't get us there of lining it up. There is I think there was an attempt back 20 years ago when the park was developed. We have a 100-foot wide water easement that was granted from the Begley property to the town for the installation of a water line. And then a legal description was also written as an ingress egress easement. So I think there was maybe an idea or an attempt that that would be the case. And the center line of that easement appears to be the center line of Candlewood. And there's about a 25-foot overlap from our south property line onto the neighbor to the south of that easement. That's where I'm coming up with the 25-foot south of our property line is probably required. But we'll start looking at that exact dimension because we're going to need to go talk to that landowner in order to be able to put a road in that lines up.
And that was part of the conversation that Scott and I had with Jonathan this morning, was just about how we would work together to make that happen. And, you know, how the town can assist with working with that property owner in the south to meet the goals that we all have for the project.
Point of clarification for me. I see the heavy dark line coming in for the main entry lining up with Candlewood. Is there the plan to tie this neighborhood in and direct vehicular traffic through the park down to the Huntsville Road?
So I can speak to that a little bit. So I went back and I pulled out the plans for the sports complex for when it was originally designed. And it was designed for this entrance to be led into the park. The way that the parking lot was originally designed is not entirely how it was built. It looked like there were 2 bays that were originally supposed to go in for a parking lot, and only one was constructed. The football fields are oriented a little differently than originally laid out. But that was the original intent of this roadway that goes into the park. I don't see this as a road that we would then be constructing more road through the park to get you to Huntsville Road. I think this would serve as an entryway into the park and take you to the parking lot. And there, of course, will be some people that do cut through. And I think that would be something we need as a town to work with the park to figure out how we're going to manage that within the park itself.
Yeah, my concern is public safety. I mean, the park in that area is high density children of all ages utilizing the facility. And if we're going to utilize roadways through that park area to gain access to Huntsville Road and not be able to control it, that is just one of the concerns I have.
Brad, I agree with you. Didn't you make the comment in the last meeting that you had a development in Greenwood where you had a road that went through the park and it was a disaster, to coin your phrase?
It was in Fishers, actually.
Fishers.
Yeah, and it was probably more integrated than what we're talking about here, but
well, yes, good enough. With regard to your zip system wall, can you comment on the covering of the siding you're going to utilize to cover the zip system up?
I mean, currently, like in our Cicero project, it is vinyl. That would be the preference specifically on the villa homes. We use an upgraded vinyl system. We use a 0.46 thickness. We use a reveal pattern on the horizontal siding that really resembles more of a wood product. we've eliminated any of the, like the Dutch lap siding and things like that, that just don't pop, which is what you've seen around town, that you generally would not like to see. So yes, we do use, that would be, the request to use vinyl.
I had one other question on the layout. You said 30-foot buffer yard along State Road 9, but the layout doesn't show a continuous buffer there. There's lots that, I would prefer to see a 30-foot buffer or greater along 9 all the way through, and the same along Candlewood, to provide screening, since this is a commercial use to the south, to provide separation. I don't know if that's feasible to adjust the layout to get a continuous common area.
Definitely along State Road 9, that's the intent. There does look like that.
The eyebrow lots are still.
The eyebrow lot seems to be bumping out. That's something that we'll take a look at. The buffer adjacent to Candlewood, we really need to get into the design of what that road's going to look like, to see how much room we really have. We've anticipated there to be 30 feet there. Part of that is going to be needed to help with the grading, because the road is going to go down a hill. So past our entrance, the grade, it has to drop about 20
One
feet.
of the things we've talked about as staff with Jonathan is that, this idea of we're not necessarily wanting to place a subdivision next to a park. We want to try to integrate as much as we can. I think one of the huge assets for this site is that it is adjacent to the park, and we need to make sure we're capturing that. And like I said, just really integrating the site. The best way I can describe it that I get people's heads to start nodding is, you think of those golf course communities where they have the homes kind of tucked in around the golf course. And I know this is not quite the same thing, but just kind of that same concept of having these homes. And I really appreciate the way that MI has kind of flipped the site, where those single family homes are going to be the homes now that are more adjacent to the park, where the back of those homes are overlooking, the sports complex and the wetland area, the more natural areas, just really taking advantage of Falls Park. And then having those 2-family homes lining up along State Road 67, I envision that area really looking a lot like Pendle Point when you're just getting off of I-69 and going south, and you have, the Pendle Point over there with the pond. Obviously there's not a pond to overlook, but having that kind of buffer area with the landscaping and those the rear of the duplex is kind of tucked in here and there. So I really think MI overall has taken a lot of our suggestions and incorporated it into this most recent design.
What sidewalks do we have through the facility? I understand that we don't have the walking path connectivity into the park yet, but what sidewalk structure?
No, I wouldn't say that the park, the sports complex, looking back at those original plans from 2001, there is a trail system that does go through and connect to the North 40, and it does kind of snake out and come over to the football fields. However, none of that has been constructed yet. And then just even with the tweaks in the layout of what was originally designed and what was actually built, it's a little different. So the Parks Department did just update their 5-year master plan. However, it didn't go into the detail yet of having a good trail network in the sports complex yet, that I don't feel comfortable requesting MI to put anything else additional in, but I do appreciate that they've understood that we need to have some areas that will connect up. If we do a wetland trail project in the property that's called the Bicentennial property, which is adjacent to this, there's a real opportunity for the Parks Department in the future to do a really neat walking trail through the wetland area that could connect directly up to this site. So, leaving some options open where we can then, integrate that trail system into this development, they're very open to.
Okay.
We're just not quite there yet as a park system, so.
And what are the sidewalks throughout the community?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brad, I took that and ran with it in a different direction. Jonathan, I would imagine these are 5-foot sidewalks on both sides of the street.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your standard, I think typically a 5-foot sidewalk is what ADA really requires. That gets you out of trouble. So that's typically what we anticipate doing. So I would expect that that's kind of what your street standard tells me it is.
Is this path outside the dotted line, is that an actual sidewalk or path? And then if that is a road that eventually connects, is that a sidewalk then that's beside it? Just explain a little bit more about that, and especially regards to safety.
So I'll talk about it as a concept.
Okay.
And obviously we'll have to have more detail when we get better engineering as we go forward. I anticipate that to be an asphalt path, and it'll probably be 10 to 12 feet in width. My initial thought would be to place it in a way that it does not get replaced when a road comes down there, and that there should be some separation between that path and where ultimately a road to the park would go. So short answer is yes, it's intended to be separated from the road. I think the road design can take on some different characteristics. I shared my thoughts with Rachel a week or two ago that based on the way that the current parking lot is situated and the way some of the terrain works, that Park Drive should really kind of curve towards the south as you get closer to the park and come in on the driveway rather than by the parking area. And I think that probably helps with getting further down the hill on the steep grade that you've got to maneuver through there. Some of that the town might have control over today, and some of it is probably additional right away from the property owner to the south. So there's a lot of discussion that would have to occur there. But the short answer is yes, the path is intended to be separate from the future road.
And then the shared spaces that are around the wetlands and kind of some tucked around some of those lots. Obviously it'd be maintained by the HOA, but are there paths in that? Is it decorative grasses? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of topography change from where those home sites are down to the property line down there. I think, when Rachel suggested earlier that, we're trying to design the idea is, hopefully is that when you're all done with this, that the homes don't look like they got just stuck there, that they fit within the landscape and that they kind of bleed into the park. I don't know if there's an opportunity, to help that along in the way that common area is maintained between that and I'll specifically point to the northwest part of that site where it's going to be adjacent to the nature preserve area. There is probably some opportunity based on the existing vegetation that's out there that there will be a very blurred line of where the park starts and where the common area, is located from the neighborhood. And I think if we do that, and I think the natural topography almost gets us to that point. So I think it really would be a shame if we ended up with a situation where we decimate what's out there and make it look like we stuck something there that doesn't really belong. So that's something that we'll definitely keep an eye on as we go forward.
Can we go back to the south side there and talk about who owns that property and what their plans are, how this is going to fit into the plans for the south property owners?
Carol, are you talking about this one, the purple or the green?
I
The
don't.
property owner to the south, you mean?
Yes, the owners to the south.
So the Spiritual Enterprises LLC is the owner to the south. They've owned it for quite a while. I think there might be some anticipation that there would be commercial on that site. There probably is a significant amount of space that could be utilized, for, potentially commercial. But their back also falls off towards the park as well. So, we have not, we had talked to a broker out there on that piece. Their pricing was downtown Indianapolis pricing and not outer suburb type pricing. So they anticipate getting significant dollars for their ground.
So where does the foundation come into play?
That's where we're at on.
So the foundation is the southern 100 feet of our property, of our project that we're looking at. So the piece that we would be buying from the foundation,
That's where the street is.
I don't know if I don't think I provided a good exhibit in this PowerPoint that shows the current ownership. So currently the foundation has 100 foot of ground on the south end of the property, front to back, from State Road 9 to the park ground.
Is
And
my
then they
screen
own-
sharing, Jonathan, with the parcel map?
Yeah,
Can you guys see that?
no,
Okay.
I'm stuck on my site plan.
Our site plan, the concept.
Okay, give me just a second. I'll show.
On the aerial that you have on your.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay. This is the foundation site, or the foundation, one of the foundation parcels, Carol,
Okay.
as well as this one.
Correct.
So when we're talking about having to work with the landowner for the access road, and are we talking about the foundation then? Are we talking about?
We're talking about Spiritual Enterprises.
Okay.
And then possibly, this one is now owned by Cal Wilson, I
Okay.
believe. So it would be kind of working with those two property owners on the south side of the foundation property.
The road were to extend all the way to the
Yeah.
park.
So this map actually is a perfect map to kind of show where the southern property line and Candlewood is located, where we need a little bit of room to the south in order to line up Candlewood. And keep in mind that that drive that Candlewood shows is, if it's 18 feet wide of pavement, I'd be surprised. I drove out there last week and parked on that, and I was going to walk across the street to look at our property, and I decided that was the right place to keep my truck there because I was blocking almost the whole road.
There we go. That gives a better kind of overview.
Yeah. And it may be a situation that, if we're just on a 30-foot roadway, we don't have to do a wider turn lanes or anything at the front entrance. We may be able to get away with less right-of-way, to the south, at least to start. And then when that property ever develops, that might be the opportunity to secure additional, right-of-way if the road needs to be bigger because of the commercial ground. But that's where I just think you got to get, 20 to 25 feet south of the property line, or really line the roads up correctly.
So have you worked with NDOT with regards to the entry to this, this development and what is required coming off of State Road 9?
So we've had preliminary discussions with NDOT. We primarily talked to NDOT about our mid-block entry. I have since worked with a local traffic engineer as well to talk about the entrances. His recommendation was very similar to what NDOT had told me, that if we had multiple entrances on the State Road 9, one through Candlewood, one through another entrance, that there was likely no road improvements that would be required, possibly a left turn lane. If we do one entry point at Candlewood, they're probably going to ask us to do a left turn lane, at least going to the northbound to the westbound turn. I'm assuming you end up with an opposing left when you do that in NDOT's world. And then it's a toss up on whether or not they would require us to do a right turn lane for the southbound traffic onto Candlewood. My traffic engineer thinks that's probably the likely scenario, is a left turn lane for the northbound traffic and a.
Jonathan, we can't hear you again. I did not put you on mute, I promise. Oh, it's me.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
There we go.
I could hear him.
Oh, it was me. Sorry, everyone. Everyone got quiet and I was like, oh no, what's happening?
So the short answer, probably a left turn lane for the northbound traffic and a right turn lane for the southbound traffic. And then whether or not they require us to do an opposing left, I mean, that's something that we'll have to get through. We did not talk to NDOT specifically about one access point.
Shifting gears again back into the core development, I see a lot of common spaces. What are your plans to develop those common spaces for the residents? Since we have a number of single family homes, and I'm assuming you're targeting a neighborhood with children, are you putting in any recreational facilities, any playgrounds, any other common space for use by the residents?
So at this point, we have not really talked about programming like an active type, like a playground at this point. Being that we're adjacent to Falls Park, we would think that we wouldn't want to replicate what opportunities there are for our residents in here. So, and with the limited number of units, you probably don't get enough opportunity to do like a nice playground or something like that. Typically what we've done with our villa product is we've created outdoor spaces that are more casual, whether it be, walking trails with, seating areas and good landscaping, and make it a little more passive recreational and not an active recreational situation. But then I think if we connect this site to the park, you've got about the best park in almost this, most famous park anyway, in the 9-county area. In Falls Park, there are people that drive miles and miles to come to your park. So these guys are walking distance.
I guess I'm not seeing any walking paths or any connectivity. All I basically see is sidewalks with the villa areas, nothing that really provides community access into the other common spaces without going through someone's yard.
So there would be sidewalks on all the streets, both sides, where there's common areas. Those sidewalks would go in with the development. What this drawing is missing is some of the terrain that you have. So the big common area that you see that kind of leads up to the pond there, that's a pretty deep drainage area with a lot of terrain to it. So on the on the west side of I don't know how in the yellow area, the north-south road, you got that common area. It's like a triangle that leads to the pond. That's probably going to be more of a natural area that you're going to be looking at. Now the area on the south side, west side, east side, to the bottom, you probably have a little bit of opportunity there to do something in that little triangle there. That's some flat spot, or the other triangle a little bit further to the north, between the villas and the single families. Really, we'll want to capture the ability to provide landscaping and help kind of create that park-like feel within the middle of this development, and kind of take on the terrain that was given to us. So I don't know if there's that many opportunities to find a place to put like a playground on this once we start looking at it.
With the way this layout is, with the several cul-de-sacs facing the park, I know we had talked about some of those having walkout basements or really developed backsides to be an asset for that family, being able to look at, the park, the wetlands, depending on which area they're located.
Yeah.
How have you guys, have you talked any more about what that would look like, or how you would encourage those builds? Because I know there's, everyone gets to choose what that looks like, and several might not choose the open, the walkout basements or some of those other design elements you've talked about previously.
Yeah. So when we get into the more into the engineering of the site, and we really get an idea of how much fall you're going to have from the road to the back property lines, that's really going to dictate which homes have to take the walkout. So what ends up happening is you can't do a walkout on a lot that's flat as a pancake, because there's no terrain there to work with. So if there's 5 to 6 feet of fall from the front to the back, you get into that lookout situation where the basement starts to pop out of the ground in the back. If you get to 7, 8, 9 feet, you get to the point where the basement is completely out of the ground on the backside. So that's where you create a walkout situation. So what ends up happening is, when we know that there's that kind of terrain that's going to be there, we will construct the neighborhood in a way that we kind of do like we call it a step pad. So what we do is we do the compaction for the top side of the house where your garage is going to be. So you don't have an excavated area there where you put your garage. And then we create a drop down where the bottom of the basement would be located, and we make sure that that is well compacted. And there is no choice. That house will have to have a walkout at that point. So when we come back with the primary plat, we'll have a much better idea what kind of grades we're looking at on the backs of these cul-de-sacs. But we are anticipating that the majority of the backs of these cul-de-sacs will have enough terrain that there will be lookouts and walkout opportunities.
So back to Brad's question, there really is no way to get from the subdivision to the park other than the road that you propose to go to the park.
Well, the walking trail that will be along the southern property line, I think that's something that we need to continue to work with. And I think that's part of our commitment that we've made with Rachel is, we'll continue to, work with the town and the Parks Department to find a place that if there's another opportunity to pull a walking trail through, then we can, definitely find a place to do that. But at this point, the area to the northwest is really just natural wetland area. And the area to the southeast of the site is, football park and the parking lot area. So, but we'll continue to work with Rachel and her staff to identify opportunities, and we'll continue to try to figure out where that's going to work. I think I probably had about 10 minutes to really look at this design this afternoon. Actually, my engineer surprised me. So we've got some engineering critiquing to do to make sure that this, that we're showing you here is exactly what's going to work. And, that's going to take into the grading and how the sewer is going to work on this site. And then we'll have a better idea when we come back with a primary plat.
With regards to the stormwater and the retention pond here that you're collecting the water, where does that water flow to? And how will that impact the park area in particular?
So that currently where that pond outlets today, where the drainage area, I don't know if maybe we go back a few maps on my PowerPoint, maybe like the second or third page.
Oh, we lost you there, Rachel. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm still like, there was a time where I had that primary, or not the primary, but the parcel map pulled up sooner, and I didn't realize you guys didn't see it the entire time that I had it up. So which one did you want, Jonathan?
This is perfect right here.
Okay.
So the thickest line there, the dark line right through the middle that runs almost westerly here, the pond will sit down near where the property line is, and you'll see that that current drainage draw continues to kind of flow to the west, which is north of your football park area. It makes it to, I believe that's what's called Prairie Creek, and ultimately must find its way underneath the railroad and gets to Fall Creek. So that's the natural drainage way. So it really doesn't affect the park. Obviously, the flow rate that comes off of our site would be the same flow rate that comes off of our site today in a pre-developed rate. So that's why
I don't know how that would be the same when you look at the lot coverage, the concrete, the structures and everything else. There's much less land to absorb the water. So aren't you going to be shedding more water into the, I'll call it the watershed and the retention pond?
Yeah, so what ends up happening is what the retention pond does, so it's a rate, but the volume increases. So the rate stays the same, but the volume increases. So what the pond does is it holds back that excess water that watershed can't handle until the watershed after an event has dissipated, and our flow rate continues to flow through the system at the same rate that it always left the site. So that's part of the engineering review that we go through, where our engineer has to provide, your town engineer with a calculation of how much pre-developed water leaves our site and where it does, and our post-developed runoff cannot leave our site any faster than it does in a pre-developed state.
And at this point in time, the engineers have not done any of that work. Is that correct?
Correct. It's a little, so there's, they've done some educated guesswork based on experience. A lot of times what happens is that pond that you see on the drawing may be bigger than it really needs to be. When they get into the drainage calculations, they identify what size that is, and that pond, might come down in size.
He's muted.
we may be approaching my high level engineering ability. After that, my engineer would have to probably get into the deeper philosophies of water drainage.
Any more questions for the board?
Oh, I got a member of the public. This is Betsy Allen. I'll allow her to talk. Betsy, you are unmuted.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am here on behalf of the South Madison Community Foundation Board. I am current vice president. And since we're involved with just those couple parcels they pointed out earlier, selling to MI, we just wanted to share part of a letter we gave to MI up front that just maps out what we would hope. And we just want to share it with the board. That way you've got it in your mindset for this meeting and all future ones with MI. So I'll cut out the parts you don't care about. But as a nonprofit community benefit organization with the mission to create positive and sustainable change in the communities we serve, the foundation is a unique seller. Our paramount objective is to make certain that the land we hold offers the best possible benefit to the citizens of our community, whether through the grants we're able to give with the proceeds or through helping create the kind of development that ensures the utmost safety and well-being of its users. To meet our objective, we asked MI a few things. Some of them don't pertain to you, but two of them that do. We'd like to ensure that the development plan that includes the foundation's parcels include appropriate and publicly accessible connectivity between the park property and public thoroughfares. The other one was allow for the foundation's due diligence by agreeing to meet with park and town officials to determine a mutually beneficial development plan for the affected parcels. We just thought best. Last meeting wasn't really appropriate, but we wanted to share that this one so that you guys had those in your mind and really just to share with you guys. So that's really all I have. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but that's what we wanted to share this evening.
Betsy, this is Tim Pritchard. Have you met with MI other than your letter addressed to them or feedback from them?
We've met with Tim a couple of times. We have a real estate committee of our board that has met with him and his other partners in the very beginning of everything at the site.
Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hi, Betsy. This is Tim.
Hello. Hi.
I'm going to check in. I've got another hand raised, and I don't know if it's from earlier, but Edward has his hand up again, but it may be because I didn't clear it. So Edward, I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As I didn't get a chance to ask slightly earlier, I did note that this was an online Zoom meeting. I just had a quick question on what is the status going on with the town hall at the moment with the COVID situation, and what are the plans for next Monday or next Thursday's town council meeting, or do we know?
Do you want me to answer that, Rachel?
Sure.
Okay, so this is Scott Reski. I'm the town manager. We had an employee and 2 employee spouses test positive. And so we immediately shut down the town hall as soon as we knew about the spouses. And then right away, we found out about one of the employees who's a pretty important member of the town team. And he is based out of the barn, the town garage, but is often in the office space. So I shut the town hall down immediately and then sent everybody home to work from their homes. And we, per the recommendation of the county medical director, we're going to test everybody with immediate test on Monday, and then we'll make some decisions based on his recommendation.
Okay, and this occurred today then?
Yes.
Is okay. I think that was my first part. And then the second part, I don't want to take up too much time here. I believe Mr. Graham had spoke of a generalized objection earlier this evening. I would say that would be a mischaracterization. It would be a specific objection towards the powers pertaining as we discussed earlier, but I don't particularly wish to take up more of your time this evening.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make a suggestion with all due respect. It's a difficult time now with COVID and trying to Zoom in the meeting. I think it's difficult for everyone. In all fairness to MI Homes and the community, particularly with regards to the South Madison Foundation, it seems there's a lot of unanswered questions right now as far as road designs, widths, sidings still come up, vinyl sidings come up, connectivity of the road going to the park. I think MI has also made comments tonight that didn't have quite all the drawings completed. I know there's been a lot of changes to this site plan in regards to those drawings, whether it was drainage drawings. They've manipulated the lots back and forth to try to appease the board and the town. Whether they're moving the two-family dwellings to the back facing 67, et cetera. It'd be my recommendation, in all fairness to everybody, we table it to the next meeting, which should be in December.
Tim, I just want to,
Well, at that time, I think it might have a lot more time to answer all their questions, have a lot more accurate drawings. We could hopefully meet in person, and I think everybody might be more comfortable to make a clear decision.
I just want
But
to
I'm a-
point out that my staff recommendation tonight is to do an approval, like I would approve with the conditions that were presented by MI Homes. Scott and I have worked really hard going back and forth with MI to try to get this to a place where we think as a town, we think it's, or I guess not as a town, but as staff, we think it's fair and doable that we can connect the road to the rest of the, or to the park. You know, on one hand, I would hate to push this to another meeting. It is a rezone that we're looking at. It is not a primary plat that we're looking at. So some of those more technical drawings and things that you're asking for would be coming along later on in the process. So I hope we could focus on the fact that we're doing a rezone tonight. We're not reviewing a primary plat tonight. And Jeff Graham, if you want to speak to any of that too. One other worry that I have too is that, you know, this is, I am assuming there's a purchase agreement and there's timeframes and expiration dates on those things too. I know we need to be mindful to make sure that this is the best thing for our community, but we also need to be mindful that we have to be a good town for developers to come and work with us on. So
I'll take entertained motions from the board. I'm speechless. So I'm not saying another word. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm done.
And I'd like to clarify too that it would be a if whichever way you go, this, if you do decide to vote on anything tonight, moving it forward, it would be a vote that would recommend the rezone or not recommend the rezone to the town council, and then the town council would hear it at the next town council meeting and decide whether or not to rezone it.
I realize there is a lot yet unknown, but I do understand that this is a rezone, and looking through all of the details is something that comes after we would either approve or not. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the rezone with the staff recommendations that you have listed on your summary.
Just to clarify, Carol, you'd like this to be a favorable recommendation to the town council for their adoption of the ordinance?
Yes, with the staff recommendations.
And the commitments from MI? I guess I
Yes.
need to pull up my staff recommendations, which Jonathan, don't be scared. They were very in line with your,
Well, I've got them here. The petitioner, well, or if you want to bring them up, that would be. I
yes.
don't have to read
Give me
them all.
just a second and I will share those on my screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen with the, good. So again, let me just reiterate, my staff recommendation, approve the petition with the following conditions. The petitioner must extend Candlewood Drive to the westernmost north-south road in the subdivision, which is what MI was showing on the drawing and what they've committed to in their written commitments. The curb cuts along State Road 67 will be limited to Candlewood Drive, which again, MI Homes presented that in their project and has it in their list of commitments. The petitioner will connect the subdivision to Falls Park with a side path and will designate areas for future trails to extend pedestrian connectivity into the bicentennial property in Falls Park, which again, we've gone over that in discussions, and I think MI is in line with that as well. The petitioner will connect the subdivision to the planned business zoning district to the south through a sidewalk or trail connection along Candlewood Drive extension. And this, I think, would be typical with any road going in. You know, you have a curb and gutter. Let's make sure we include that sidewalk. And if Jonathan, if you have an issue with that, I think that might be the only one that we didn't talk with, but it's not a huge chunk in the vast scheme of things. So.
No, I don't, that's fine.
I guess I just had a real quick question if I could ask quickly. So this goes to TF zoning. When the new UDO comes out this spring, does it stay TF with the matrix that's in place now, or will it be converted?
This, I believe we'd be sticking with what we approve. You know, when their primary plat, I would imagine they're going to be filing it fairly soon after a rezone is approved. And so I think they would be filing under our existing rules and not the new ones. I can't, unless Jonathan, your timeline would be different than that, but I would assume you would have your primary plat filed prior to April of 2021.
Yeah.
Even absent that, they've clearly put in the money as evidenced by the presence of Tim Westerfield and the illustrious Mike Austin here tonight, that they've put in, they've got a vested interest in in this going in under the old rules. So absolutely, the answer to that question is they would be under what you're considering tonight.
So my motion stands.
I'll make a motion to deny.
We have two motions. Is there a second of either motion?
I'll second the deny motion.
Thank you, Brad. Rachel, can you call a roll call, please, on the denial?
Tim Pritchard,
No.
Kyle
Well, just a
Eichhorn,
second here. Now we're voting on a motion to deny. So a no vote would accept. So go ahead.
okay, Tim Pritchard,
Yes.
Kyle Eichhorn,
No.
Carol Hanna,
No.
Cheryl Ramey Hunt,
No.
Brad Ballantyne,
Yes.
Connie Schultz Heinz,
No.
Jenny Sisson.
No.
Motion fails. There is a motion, but no second also on the floor.
I'll second.
Okay. Tim Pritchard,
No.
Kyle Eichhorn,
Yes.
Carol Hannah,
Yes.
Cheryl Ramey Hunt,
Yes.
Brad Ballantyne,
No,
Connie Schultz Heinz,
Yes.
Jenny Sisson.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate your time this evening, and we look forward to continuing our work with the town of Pendleton.
Good luck with your vinyl siding. Meeting adjourned.
Everybody had a
Thanks,
good
everyone. You too.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.